The Vexthar hunting pack had roamed the methane forests of Kepler 442b for 3 generations, apex predators in a galaxy that feared their kind. They were 8 feet of corded muscle, razor-sharp talons, and an instinct for the kill that had earned them the designation Class A Hostile by the Galactic Council. Khyben was the pack's youngest hunter, still proving himself among the seasoned killers. When he found the small creature stumbling through the purple undergrowth, his first instinct was simple: prey. But something stopped him. The tiny being, barely reaching his lower chest, looked up at him with wide brown eyes that held no fear. Only curiosity. It made a sound, soft and musical, nothing like the screams Khyben was accustomed to hearing from his victims. "Hello," the small human girl said in broken galactic common, her translator chip struggling with the Vexthar frequencies. "I'm Hayal. I'm lost." Khyben's hunting party had moved on, leaving him alone with this child. The concept was foreign to his species. Vexthar young were born nearly full-sized, capable of hunting within days. But this creature was helpless, fragile. Her thin skin would tear like paper beneath his claws. She should have been terrified. Instead, she smiled. "You're very big," Hayal observed, reaching out to touch his scaled forearm. "Are you nice?" The question short-circuited something in Khyben's predatory brain. Nice? The word had no equivalent in his language. Yet when she stumbled over a root, his massive hand shot out instinctively to steady her. "Your colony?" he growled, the translator making his words comprehensible. "The ship crashed," Hayal said matter-of-factly, her small hand still gripping his talon. "Mama told me to run, so I ran. A crashed human vessel. The pack would converge on it like scavengers on a carcass, and this young one had been separated from her group. Khyben made a decision that would have earned him exile from his pack." He lifted Hayal onto his shoulders and began moving toward the crash site, careful to avoid the hunting grounds of his brethren. 3 days passed. The Predator learned things about humans that no Galactic Council briefing had ever mentioned. He learned that they required frequent sustenance, not the monthly gorging of the Vexthar, but small amounts of food every few hours. He learned that they slept in vulnerable cycles, trusting their guardian completely. He learned that they asked endless questions and found joy in the smallest discoveries. "Why are your eyes red?" Hayal asked on the second day. "Better for hunting in darkness," Khyben replied. "Oh, they're pretty. Pretty." Another word without meaning in his vocabulary. Predators were not pretty. They were efficient, deadly, feared. Yet here was this fragile creature calling him pretty. On the 4th morning, Khyben's translator picked up human comm chatter. The rescue party was close, but so was his pack. He could smell them on the wind, converging on the same location. The crash site had drawn them like blood and water. Hayal noticed his tension. "What's wrong?" "My kind are coming," he said simply. "They will not be nice." Understanding dawned in those impossibly expressive eyes. "Will they hurt my mama?" Khyben didn't answer. He didn't need to. Hayal's small hand tightened on his talon. "Please," she whispered. "Please help them." It was the please that did it. The Vexthar had no concept of supplication, no word for asking rather than taking. But this small human who could have been consumed in a single bite was asking him, trusting him to protect her kind. Khyben reached the clearing first. The human rescue party, 15 soldiers in combat armor, had formed a defensive perimeter around the crash site. At the center, a woman with Hayal's eyes scanned the forest desperately. "Mama!" Hayal shouted. The woman's head snapped up, and her expression transformed from despair to joy to absolute horror as she saw what carried her daughter. 20 weapons aimed at Khyben in an instant. "Don't shoot!" Hayal screamed, spreading her tiny arms protectively over the Predator's massive head. "He saved me!" "He's nice." Nice, that word again. Khyben gently lowered the child and she ran to her mother. The reunion lasted only seconds before Hayal's mother, a major judging by her insignia, barked orders to her troops. Vexthar pack approaching from coordinates 472. Battle formation. The Galactic Council had it wrong, Khyben realized. They classified humanity as Class C intelligence, Class D physical threat. They had never seen humans fight for their young. What happened in the next 17 minutes would be dissected by military strategists for decades. The humans didn't just fight. They fought with a ferocity that reminded Khyben of his own kind, but amplified by something his species lacked: the willingness to die for another. When two Vexthar broke through the perimeter, charging toward the crash site where the injured huddled, a human soldier, barely older than Hayal in relative terms, threw himself into their path. He died buying 3 seconds for the others to respond. 3 seconds. For pack members not even of his blood, Kivin found himself fighting beside the humans, his talons tearing through his former packmates. It should have felt like betrayal. Instead, it felt like purpose. When the last Vexthar fell, silence descended on the clearing. Kivin stood among the human defenders, ichor dripping from his claws, surrounded by weapons that could end him in a heartbeat. Hayal pushed through the soldiers and wrapped her small arms around his leg. "I told them you were nice." The major approached slowly, her weapon lowered but ready. "My daughter's alive because of you, why?" Kivin looked down at Hayal, then at the soldiers who had fought with such terrifying devotion. He thought of the young one who had smiled at a predator, who had called him pretty, who had asked please. "I learned," he said simply, "why humans guard their own." The major studied him for a long moment, then extended her hand, palm up, vulnerable, trusting. "Then perhaps we can teach you how humans guard their friends." Kivin placed his massive talon gently in her palm. Behind them, Hale laughed, a sound like starlight crystallizing into joy. And the predator who had learned to be nice discovered something his species had never known. The strength that comes not from taking life, but from protecting it. End.